hey, I've done some jerry rigging, and this is definitely a jerry rig system at the moment. I needed to get my 12-volt AC unit running, and so the RV5 system that I put in only outputs through the distributor about 30 amps max, technically speaking, for like each individual circuit. It could do a lot more than that. It could definitely do 150 amps, but it's not rated for that. So what I've done is I've hooked up two of the old batteries that I had right there. This thing is a mess. I'm going to clean this all up before the next time we go for an actual trip. But I've hooked up two batteries. That's 200 amp hours going to a switch that I'm going to actually screw in that's down there. And then that comes up to this distributor block right here. And that then goes out to our AC unit. There was a fuse in line there, so I don't have to worry about anything, but let's see if it works. Got the unit to turn on. Before I actually turn this into cooling mode, I'm gonna turn it off right now. Before I turn it into cooling mode, I have to go up on the roof and I have to see what we have going on out there, because there's a tree that lives above us and I don't want to turn it on and there happens to be branches inside the condenser and I break a fan. Just not worth it. So what I have to do is grab a ladder and just peek up there and make sure that that tree is out of the way. But for now, I have that battery set up, and then I also have, from when we had a problem with our electrical the first time around, when we had a Renogy inverter charger, when that went out, I had to buy a 50 amp charge controller just to keep up with our batteries, like to be able to charge it when we were plugged in. So we would only be able to use 120 when we were plugged in. And so now I have it configured to where I could plug into the bottom of my distributor box. That gives 120 to the charge controller. That then gives 50 amps at a time to my batteries. And right now I have those charging. I have 100% battery on the RV5 system. And yeah, everything's looking good, working good. I just have to test this, make sure this is good, and then we'll be good to go. But I have shrink wrapped the lines and made the lines look nice, and I left them long for future opportunity. By long, I mean like maybe an extra 6 inches than what it originally, like to get it nice and taut and ran properly. So not much more. The other issue I have is there's this huge mulch pile here and a lot of spider webs on this bad boy because we haven't moved it in a while. So I'm gonna get a couple things going. I'm gonna break down all these spider webs off of the unit, and then I'm gonna jump on the roof, or not jump on, but I'm gonna grab a ladder out and gracefully go up the ladder and look and see if that condenser is being blocked before I go ahead and turn it on. But for now, let's go ahead and grab a ladder and get this all cleaned up. So I have my hands full with everything, being the fact that I just had ACL surgery. We're getting close to 5 weeks now. We're 4.5 weeks in from when I had the ACL surgery, and I'm feeling good. I'm doing good. I'm moving good. But I also don't want to overdo it. And so it's very easy to overdo it when you've had ACL surgery. If there's anybody out there that's had surgery, they know how easy it is to overdo it. And so things like this, like going up on a ladder, aren't necessarily smart, but I have to get it done. So that's where we're at right now. I need to have this done for the weekend. Alex right now is in the process of taking care of our daughter, Everly. What's going on, Larry? And that just leaves me to have to do this, you know, and that's it. So I'm doing it. But I will take my sweet, sweet time to get this done. For everybody who's been following along with the channel, this is day, I think, 85 now of vlogging for 100 days straight. And we're doing a 20-minute vlog, no edits, no filters. Whatever happens, happens. And I'm enjoying it. It's been a fun process. I'm gonna put this down. It's been a fun process doing it. And seeing what I'm capable of and being able to stay on task with something that's been like kind of hard for me lately. So even though we make videos every single week for our main channel, FNA Life, it's still hard to like 100% commit. I'm going to walk over and get a broom. It's still hard to 100% commit all the time, like every single day, to doing that job specifically because of what we have going on. And so this is my way of like getting rid of procrastination by making sure that I'm doing this every single week. And yeah, I think we're doing pretty good. You know, I think I'm just going to use the broom that's over there. So I'm happy with this. Everybody seems to be giving me, you know, advice or telling me their stories. Typically what I'll do is I'll like bring up a story of something that has happened or that I'm thinking about in my brain, and we just discuss it, you know? So you could go through all the videos and see what's been going on, but whew, that's a lot of spider webs. But like this gets me thinking about, you know, going out and camping, obviously, because that's what we're about to do. And thinking about like mine and Alex's first camping trip. And on our main channel, we have some of the stories and some of the life when we first set out on the road. What was happening is I wanted to snowboard as many mountains as I could in a single season in North America, and actually all over the world. I just wanted to snowboard everywhere, every mountain I could. If I get to every one in my lifetime, that's a great success. That's an amazing life, you know? So I was working on, you know, getting to as many mountains as I could. And when I told Alex about the journey and trip I wanted to do and everything, she was on board fully. So she kind of put together a whole spreadsheet, and there's a long story to all that, and we'll get to it. But talking about the first trip we ever did in this was coming up to actually visit Alex's parents, or not in this one, in our first van that we were building out. It wasn't completely finished. It was, you know, I would say maybe it was 50% done. We had a bed. We had a refrigerator, we had some electrical going, but the walls weren't done yet. The kitchen wasn't in. There was a lot missing. And we decided, hey, let's hit the road and go visit Alex's parents. So we actually came here to this house as our first trip, and we had a great time. We stopped, did some hiking on the way up. I think we went to the Finger Lakes, if I remember correctly. And that was a really cool trip, and what a awesome time, just like getting our first experience of van life in. It was a bit nerve-wracking, but we did it, and we hit the road for, I think it was about a week or so when we did that. And then after that, we decided, okay, when we get this finished, we'll hit the road again. And the first real trip out was to start snowboarding these different mountains. And we went to, I want to say it was Pennsylvania first. Hitting up a couple mountains in Pennsylvania. And then we had to turn back and come back to Brooklyn before we left for good, because we had a bad water pump that wouldn't pressurize, and it would just go and go and go. And so during that time, we actually wound up having an issue with not only the water pump, but then we also killed our faucet, our sink, because we had water kind of sitting in it and we didn't have the heat on, I think. And we froze the water line, so we wound up having to change the faucet too as well. So it was like just a couple things that were easy fixes when we came back, but it was nice to get a shakedown trip done before we really hit the road. And that was in our first van. We called her Lolo. She was awesome. Had a beautiful piece of artwork on the side of it. And yeah, she was our first adventure rig. But I remember like the first night we parked in a hotel parking lot our first night on the way up to a mountain. And we were so nervous. Alex was so nervous. And I remember being like, it's okay. But every noise that we heard, we would like pop our heads out and like look. And luckily nobody bothered us. And that was it. We were on the adventure. And honestly, the whole time we were doing it, we were only really, I guess, say bothered or knocked on twice. And both times we kind of saw it coming. But the cool part is like, it was always in a situation where we weren't like about to go to sleep or in the middle of the night. Nobody woke us up. So that was really good. Wow, these panels need a good cleaning. Whew. The whole upper roof needs a good cleaning. I think when we pull it, it will shake off a lot. All right, my plan over here is, because there is, let me show you guys. There is a tree branch going right over the top of the unit. And so I don't want to like suck those tree branches in or anything like that, even though it's going to be pushing out. It is a condenser trying to release heat. I don't want to damage anything. So you'll see here, that's the condenser right there. And those couple branches are just sitting over the top of it. So I think what I'll do is I'll take this ladder, I'll put it on the other side over there, and kind of push that branch up and make sure that there's nothing actually in there. I don't think they're actually in it, but just in case, you know? Just in case. But up here on this roof, we have 4 solar panels, 1 in each corner. And these 4 solar panels do a pretty good job. I wish I had more solar, because then we would be able to get a lot more time off grid. I do think we would get in about 5 days of total time before we would have to plug in somewhere, which isn't terrible. And that was with using the air conditioner and whatnot too as well. This system, I feel like we don't get as much out of the system because it is a 48 volt that then drops down to 12 and so on and so forth. I feel like we were getting, it also was winter time. So I think summer we're getting 5 days, where winter we're only getting like 3 without having to plug in. So we could get a little generator, but we are kind of maxed out for space. Let's get you guys over here and I will bring the ladder over. But yeah, this lifestyle has been super awesome. We really, really love and enjoy what we're doing and how we're doing it. I don't know how long we'll be in the trailer for, say, before we decide to either sell this one or rent it out, before we potentially go back to a van or maybe even like a bus. But it's hard these days, like, especially with the cost of fuel and everything. A bus just seems kind of too much. And then like the only way a van makes sense is if we have one that's like our friends the Bryles, that has like a pop top and kind of all the bells and whistles at this point with Everly. Granted, you don't need all the bells and whistles. I personally just prefer it. We roughed it, technically speaking, in the van. No air conditioner, except for when you're driving. Like a lot of no stuff. Yep, that's not in there. Great, perfect. All right, we could start her up and get a temperature on her. So even with those 4 panels mostly covered by the sun, we were pulling in like, I want to say about 250 watts when they're mostly covered by the sun. But when I get them all in full sun, we're cranking almost 750 watts. So that's pretty dang good, you know? Granted, 750 watts is only gonna top us off during the day if we're not using it during the day, or like keep us, maybe it gives us 20% battery or so, something like that. So we definitely need more solar. All right, back inside the crib. So the biggest thing that we're gonna have to do is clean this bad boy up because it is dirty. The nice part is we have the hot water heater going. We have most of the things just done. We got rid of the mold that we had. We had an issue with that. If you didn't see it, you could go back and watch the video. It's the reason why we actually left Vancouver. All right, let's turn this on. It's the reason why we left Vancouver Island and headed back to Canada without flying back to Canada. Let's put her in turbo mode. Strong. All right, here we go. All right, she's already starting to blow cold. It'll take a moment to get to like full set temperature. Let's turn this off. Let's turn this off. Oh, I want that on. I want this off. Okay. Oh, that was already off. So when I do these vlogs, sometimes they're a bit chaotic, but it always comes with a little bit of clarity at the end. Yeah, it's already feeling really, really nice. I should get a thermometer and test this so that way you guys could see the actual supply temperature coming out of it. It will drop down to its temperature that we need. It will probably be about 55 degrees or so coming out. Oh yeah, she's getting cold. The crazy part is you can't even hear the unit on the roof. What you're hearing right now is the charger. So the charger is down there charging these batteries right now. That sound is going to be gone once I could configure and figure out exactly what I could do to get it to run off the RV5 system. So like the biggest thing that you want to do whenever you're getting a system is you want to put things in place for how it works properly for you. And the RV5 system wasn't a part of this build when I originally started to install everything. If I knew it was going to be, I probably would have went with a 120 unit just because I know I'd be able to power it with the RV5 directly from the RV5. And so now I'm kind of, do I take this RV5 system and install it in my big RV and give it like a really nice setup over there? Or do I leave it in here and figure out a way to jig up something for that air conditioner to work? And gosh, it is working right now. Oh yeah. I think I need to get a thermometer so that way I can show you what temperature that is. But if I go to get a thermometer now, it's going to be 20 minutes and this video is going to be over. So we'll go back to talking about the travels. So Alex and I have had many adventures. That year, I actually wound up snowboarding 71 mountains in a single winter season. So it's like nobody else has snowboarded that many mountains in a single season that I know of. I even ran into people like Sean White and other snowboarders out there that was like, seriously, 71 mountains in one season is what you're going for? That's mind blowing. That's crazy. And I saw Sean White when I was at the 65th mountain, and I was like, there's nothing that's going to stop me, nothing. And sure enough, COVID hit. And then about 2 weeks later, every single mountain shut down, and I was at 69 mountains when everything shut down. And so I hiked 2 more mountains, and we got to 71 mountains, and I called it quits because it was like the mountains I would have never been able to get to was the ones that were across the border in Canada. At the time, we were in the US. I am from the US, and so to cross the border at the time was nearly impossible, if not impossible, if you didn't have a permanent residency in Canada or like some type of crazy emergency that would allow you in. So yeah, that's kind of what happened, and I got stuck not being able to do any more than the 71 that I did. Actually, technically, it would have been 83 mountains, I think. So we were 12 off the total mission. So I do want to go back and hit the ones I never hit. And I think that would be cool to at least like finish that at some point in time. But I do have to rehab this knee, get it back going, and maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to catch like February on next season. That's my hope. If I can make that happen, if I'm ready for it, if my doctors approve me for that type of activity, I'll be stoked and we'll get back out there snowboarding again. Because originally that's how this channel started. This channel started by me wanting to see, you know, myself snowboard and get better at it. And then I started making like little fun edits that were like park related, not too much talking, kind of silly with my friends that wanted to be involved. And that was really pretty much the edits. And they had the techno music and whatever, the stuff that other people were doing in that industry at the time. And I look back on them today and I kind of giggle. And I didn't know what I was doing. I was figuring it out as I went. So yeah, it was kind of a cool journey to go through that. But that's what made FNA van life, FNA life now. That's what led me to meet my wife. So I'm so thankful for those videos. I'm so thankful for everything that that has been put in our direction and our way. And I'm even thankful to be going through the process of this rehab. But I'm thankful for you guys mostly for watching these videos, for hanging out with us, and for donating to the charities that we give to every single month. It's been 20 minutes. See you tomorrow.